states what the therapist did to you.
I wish there was more direct statement of what the therapist's interventions were. There wasn't a lot.
That's what we're sort of looking for, isn't it?
Yeah, there isn't a lot of reporting of the therapist's interventions.
Sorry, I mean, they allude to what they said without explicitly stating this is what we said.
Or
sometimes a little bit ambiguous.
Sorry, they even more allude to just what their thinking process was.
Sometimes, I mean, at the bottom of page 8, and kind of first, bottom of page 8 on the left-hand side, there's an example of that, I think, where we suggest to Archie that, like Chloe, he might also defensively place himself, like the train. As you say that, probably not, but out of sight of the gaze of others, the placing of the signpost, laugh at the entrance of the tunnel suggests that he's looking. Now it kind of extends into something of a, of a sort of interpretation. I suspect that they didn't say that, but we don't know where his suggestions started and stopped. But it does suggest that they're certainly thinking about the symbolism, and they're kind of using metaphor, perhaps not explicitly. They might be explicitly. It's difficult to say. So that would then raise some questions about guideline 6, about this is the first session, and using complex use of metaphor.
Which I thought it was complex use of metaphor.
It looks
our
like
guidelines would suggest not to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's
certainly
quite
in
a
the
lot
earlier
of
stages of therapy.
And there's quite a lot of use of metaphor, and what the understanding that the patients are using metaphor as a process in the therapy, and which seems to kind of work more or less. But it goes against the.
It does. And again, unless what we don't know is did they get to that idea of metaphor through some questioning, which might be more in adherence to the mentalization way of interviewing.
Even so, though, you're still looking at. I mean, in the strict MPT kind of model, especially in the first session, it's unlikely you're going to be using metaphor, even if it's going to acquire the process, you're much more likely to kind of look at the interpersonal kind of interactions. But this is in the first session. They're bringing in quite a lot of different forms of metaphor, so it's interesting.
That bit in that section where he says he's making links between his current relationship, encountering difficulties, and his image of the train. That seems to be such a basic link to number 6. Focus attention on objects, some verbal inquiry focused on the here and now. And he's talking about a current relationship.
Yeah, that's right.
Making that.
But the difference is, if the patient does it, you're not going to be there stopping the patient from making, links or metaphorical, symbolic, or process based. But what the guidelines say is the therapist shouldn't actively fit the patient's state of mind into what is visible in the image. But it doesn't say anything about what comments can be made about the image, because you can comment fruitfully into what the symbolism and the metaphor is in the image without necessarily saying, so therefore you're doing that. You can describe, you can say what you're seeing. I am seeing somebody or something is trying to hide. And you can say things like, is anybody getting the same impression? And then you get what they think. And then you can go on, if it's appropriate, to say, well, I certainly feel like that sometimes. Does anybody else? And that's not fitting.
No,
the
but
patient.
That's not what it's not saying. It's not saying here about whether you're fitting it or not. It's saying complex use of metaphor, not how it's related, contingent or not, or whether.
No, but complex is a bit like genuine, it's a generic word, because something complex can be made very simple if it's broken down in very, very small, sizable bits. So you can start from the image and you say, I see something being chased or hiding.
But that's one thing. But that needs to be made explicit and there's a consensus on that, because you could also say that another way of dividing it would be a simple metaphor would be something like, I'm harbouring feelings about something. That would be a metaphor, because you're using harbour, but it's also short use. So this is, and I would say that the complex one becomes being actually using an image as a sort of metaphorical bit. That's how I'd understand complex and that sort of basic or simple. But you're saying complex would be more to do with how you deliver, or how you deliver sort of...
I think complex is something that is made of a number of parts, interlinked in ways that may not be immediately obvious, that needs a articulated explanation to be appreciated, and it may have several layers, and it may be very, very premature in a context like this.
So in that sense, it's a complex use of metaphor. So there are different layers of meanings, these kind of metaphors that they choose.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this paragraph contradicts the guideline as it is made, as it is described here.
But is this complex news for the purpose of writing a paper and reflecting after the event about what was going on? Because it's not clear that...
that's where this is. Sorry.
Yeah, whether this is a direct reflection of what was actually said in the session, or whether this is a bit more retrospectively.
Because what I got was that the sort of the paragraph fundamentalising within the group and the image, that it talks, the link I suppose I made with Genuine was, talks about Archie's mentalising was apparent and illustrates that an authentic reflection has taken place, and Sam's internal state is seen here to be mentalised by Archie. It's looking that there is complicated stuff going on between participants, but it's not saying that the therapist was, dispensing, an expert dispensing insight and sort of overcomplicating the interaction. It's reflecting on the complication of what does happen.
What it does say is that what they wanted aloud is because Archie, along with the rest of the group, would be looking for love when he joined the group. That's actually what they did, isn't it?
Because it's that Archie's image of he suggested to Archie that, like Chloe, he may automatically place himself, like a strain, out of sight of the gaze of the others. However, later on, obviously he didn't do any harm to Archie, because Archie comes up, but clearly, and says, Archie became alert and empathic, so it must have done him some good. Observing her image and commenting on its hypnotic nature, confirming, and this is very important, that she could be reached via her image. Mind you, at that point I would check it. Is it true? Do you feel reached? I would check it. I wouldn't just let it be. But, I'm saying he didn't die of that interpretation, maybe.